Good evening. This is All India Radio. I am Valsa Williams and with me is Aditi Lumba with the evening news. The headlines. Prime Minister Narendra Modi reviews preparedness of states and concerned agencies to effectively deal with the situation arising out of the likely formation of Cyclone Jawad. Prime Minister Narendra Modi to inaugurate Infinity Forum on FinTech tomorrow. Lok Sabha takes up discussion on COVID-19 pandemic. Parliament passes Dam Safety Bill 2019. Hajj Committee of India issues guidelines for Hajj 2022. National COVID-19 vaccination coverage crosses 125 crore doses mark. Recovery rate stands at 98.35%. 2 cases of Omicron variant of COVID reported in Karnataka, primary and secondary contacts being traced to check the spread. Russian President Vladimir Putin to visit Delhi on the 6th of December to attend the 21st India-Russia Annual Summit. In hockey, India to face Germany and Argentina to play France in semi-finals tomorrow in Bhubaneswar. And in cricket, second and final test match between India and New Zealand to begin tomorrow at the Wankhede Stadium in Mumbai. As India marches towards administering 150 crore vaccine doses against COVID-19, news about the fresh corona variants is also causing concern. In this situation, we appeal to our listeners to get fully vaccinated at the earliest and also help others get vaccinated. Please continue to follow these 3 simple steps to stay safe. Wear a face mask, maintain 2 gaz ki duri for social distancing, focus on hand and face hygiene. For any COVID-related information and guidance, contact national helpline numbers 011-2397-8046 and 1075. And now the news in detail. Prime Minister Narendra Modi today chaired a high-level meeting to review the preparedness of states and concerned agencies to deal effectively with the situation arising out of the likely formation of Cyclone Jawad. The Prime Minister directed officials to take every possible measure to ensure that people are safely evacuated and to ensure maintenance of all essential services. He also directed to take steps to restore essential services immediately in the event of any disruption. He further directed to ensure adequate storage of essential medicines and supplies. He asked the officials for 24/7 functioning of control rooms. The meeting was attended by Principal Secretary to Prime Minister, Cabinet Secretary, Home Secretary, Director General of National Disaster Response Force and Director General of India Meteorological Department. IMD informed that the low-pressure region in the Bay of Bengal is expected to intensify into Cyclone Jawad and is expected to reach the coast of North Andhra Pradesh and Odisha in the early morning of coming Saturday. It is likely to cause heavy rainfall in the coastal districts of Andhra Pradesh, Odisha and West Bengal. IMD has been issuing regular bulletins with the latest forecast to all the concerned states. The Cabinet Secretary has reviewed the situation and preparedness with Chief Secretaries of all the coastal states and concerned agencies. The Ministry of Home Affairs is reviewing the situation 24/7 and is in touch with the state governments, union territories and other agencies. The Ministry has already released the first installment of State Disaster Response Force in advance to all the concerned states. Prime Minister Narendra Modi will inaugurate Infinity Forum, a thought leadership forum on FinTech tomorrow through video conferencing. The event is being hosted by International Financial Services Centres Authority under the aegis of the Government of India in collaboration with Gift City and Bloomberg.
The Lok Sabha is now taking up discussion on COVID-19 under Rule 193. Speaker Om Birla said the discussion is timely as there is an emergence of the new variant Omicron. Mr. Birla expressed hope that the discussion will be healthy and constructive. The Speaker also commended MPs who did innovative things to deal with the pandemic in the respective constituencies and lauded the role of COVID warriors in tackling the global problem.
पिछले 2 वर्ष में कोरोना ने संपूर्ण मानवता को प्रभावित किया है। कोरोना ने भारत और पूरे विश्व की सामाजिक आर्थिक स्थिति पर प्रभाव डाला है। भारत ने सामूहिकता की भावना से पूरे देश ने इस चुनौती का सामना किया है, लेकिन एक बार फिर नए वेरिएंट ओमिक्रॉन के आने से पूरे विश्व में चिंता बढ़ी है। ऐसे में ये बहुत अच्छा अवसर है जब हम इस मामले में एक स्वस्थ विवेचना करें।
Initiating the discussion, Vinayak Raut of Shiv Sena thanked the Prime Minister, the Union and the State Health Ministers and all Chief Ministers for dealing with the pandemic in an effective way. He said even the thickly populated Dharavi of Mumbai, which was feared to suffer heavily, took it up as a challenge and showed the world how to fight the pandemic. However, Mr. Raut pointed out that 60% of the ventilators provided under PM CARES funds were not functional and the supplier did not respond to repair and service them despite repeated demands. Mr. Vinayak Bhaurao also demanded reducing the gap in the number of days between administering the first and the second doses of the Covishield vaccines so that the coverage of vaccination could be increased. Parliament has passed the Dam Safety Bill 2019 with Rajya Sabha approving it today. The House also approved the amendments moved by the government to the bill. Lok Sabha had given its nod to the bill in 2019. The bill provides for surveillance, inspection, operation and maintenance of the specified dam, for prevention of dam failure-related disasters and for institutional mechanism to ensure their safe functioning. The bill was moved by Union Minister for Jal Shakti Gajendra Singh Shekhawat. Replying to a debate on the bill, Mr. Shekhawat said that the legislation has been brought with an intention of putting in place a protocol for dam safety. Allaying the apprehensions of states, Mr. Shekhawat said the bill in no way encroaches the rights of state governments with regard to the ownership of water, management of dams and generation of power.
The Hajj Committee of India has issued guidelines for Hajj 2022 so as to apprise the public about the requirements for Hajj pilgrimage and also guide the applicants to submit their request. In a written reply in the Lok Sabha today, Minority Affairs Minister Mukhtar Abbas Naqvi said new provisional guidelines have been issued this year under special circumstances with special norms, rules and regulations, eligibility criteria, age restrictions and other relevant conditions, as the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia may determine and deem appropriate amid the COVID-19 pandemic. He said the special provisions and precautions for Hajj 2022 have been made keeping in mind the safety and well-being of Hajj pilgrims. India's COVID-19 vaccination coverage has crossed 125 crore doses. Health Minister Mansukh Mandavia said this is another proud moment for every Indian. He said, as India intensifies the Har Ghar Dastak campaign, the country is marching ahead with a new zeal and new energy in its fight against COVID-19. 8,548 COVID patients recovered during the last 24 hours, and the national recovery rate stands at 98.35%. The country reported 9,765 new COVID cases in the last 24 hours. Currently, India's active caseload is around 99,000.
The Union Health and Family Welfare Ministry today said that 2 cases of Omicron variant of COVID have been reported in the country in the last 24 hours. In a media briefing in New Delhi today, Joint Secretary in the Union Health Ministry, Love Agarwal, has said both the cases are from Karnataka.
हमारे देश में 2 ओमिक्रॉन वेरिएंट के केस हमारे इस नेटवर्क के द्वारा डिटेक्ट किए गए हैं कर्नाटक में, और उसमें से एक केस 66 साल के एक मेल हैं, दूसरा केस 46 साल के एक मेल हैं, और जितने उनके प्राइमरी कॉन्टैक्ट हैं, जितने सेकेंडरी कॉन्टैक्ट हैं, उन सबको ट्रेस कर लिया गया है और उन सबकी टेस्टिंग करके उनको एज पर प्रोटोकॉल हम कोऑर्डिनेट कर रहे हैं.
Director General of Indian Council of Medical Research, Balram Bhargav, said 2 cases of Omicron detected in Karnataka through genome sequencing effort of INSACOG consortium of 37 laboratories. He said there is no need to panic, but awareness is absolutely essential. On the Omicron variant of COVID-19, Member Health of Niti Aayog, Dr. V.K. Paul, said it is being carefully examined and will take decisions on basis of it. He stressed on the need of testing, surveillance, tracking and tracing of incoming international travellers. He said hospital infrastructure must be strengthened. Talking about the booster dose, he said scientific reasoning for providing boosters at what timing, for which vaccine and all that is under examination.
वैक्सीन लगना हमारी बहुत बड़ी प्रोटेक्शन है सब वेरिएंट्स के लिए, तो उस तरफ जो हम आगे बढ़ रहे हैं उसमें और भी गति आए, हर व्यक्ति जिसको नहीं फर्स्ट डोज मिली वो फर्स्ट ले और जिसकी सेकंड डोज ड्यू है वो सेकंड डोज ले। इम्पोर्टेंट पार्ट जो ओमिक्रॉन के परिप्रेक्ष्य में आया है वो हमें इस तरफ लेके जाता है कि जिन टूल्स का इस्तेमाल करते हुए हमने इस पेंडेमिक की लड़ाई करी है उन टूल्स को फिर हम पूरी तरह से इस्तेमाल करें, उसमें कोई भी कमी ना हो।
The Maharashtra government has revised its guidelines for air travellers a day after the centre expressed its concern regarding divergence in travel protocol. According to the revised notification issued by Chief Secretary Debashish Chakravarti this evening, the compulsory provision of RT-PCR testing for domestic travellers from other states has been done away with. Citizens must be fully vaccinated or carry a negative RT-PCR test report not older than 72 hours. The notification states that restrictions imposed by the Government of India shall act as the minimum restrictions that have to be imposed for all the travellers. It added that passengers arriving from high-risk countries or having a travel history of visiting any of the high-risk countries in the past 16 days will be deplaned on priority. RT-PCR testing will be compulsory at respective airports as well as 7 days institutional quarantine. A second test will be conducted on the 7th day, post which passengers whose report is negative will be allowed to proceed and undergo further 7 days of home quarantine.
The External Affairs Ministry has said that the visit of Russian President Vladimir Putin will take place on the 6th of December. It said President Putin will be here for the 21st India-Russia Annual Summit and a series of meetings will take place between India and Russia. In a media briefing today, official spokesman of the Ministry of External Affairs Arindam Bagchi said India foresees a very intensive engagement during the day, culminating with the summit. He said the Defence Minister and his Russian counterpart will co-chair the Intergovernmental Commission. He said External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar will also have a bilateral meeting with Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov. He further said these meetings will be followed by the first inaugural meeting of the newly instituted 2+2 dialogue mechanism at the level of foreign and defence ministers. He added that both ministers are expected to discuss bilateral, regional, international and defence issues within this format.
These meetings will be followed by the inaugural meeting of the newly instituted 2+2 dialogue mechanism at the level of the foreign and defence ministers. Both ministers are expected to discuss bilateral, regional and international political and defence issues within this format.
Mr. Bagchi said the 21st India-Russia Annual Summit will be held in the afternoon of the 6th of December and India is looking forward to welcome President Putin to New Delhi for this summit. He said leaders will review the state and prospect of bilateral relations and discuss ways to further strengthen the strategic partnership between the two countries. He said a joint statement is proposed to be issued at the end of the summit.
The leaders will review the state and prospects of bilateral relations and discuss ways to further strengthen the strategic partnership between the two countries. And the summit will, of course, offer an opportunity to exchange views on regional, multilateral and international issues of mutual interest. A joint statement is proposed to be issued at the end of the summit, which will encapsulate the discussions, understandings and agreements signed during and also in the run-up to the summit.
This is All India Radio giving you the news. For quick news updates round the clock, follow us on our Twitter handle at AIR News Alerts. Best wishes to all consumers for Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav. Hallmark ensures purity of gold. Always purchase Hallmark gold jewellery. For any consumer-related complaints, please contact National Consumer Helpline's toll-free number 14404, issued in public interest by Department of Consumer Affairs, Government of India. Jago Grahak Jago. President Ram Nath Kovind will confer the annual National Awards on individuals, institutions, organizations and states and districts for their outstanding achievements and work towards the empowerment of persons with disabilities on International Day of Persons with Disabilities tomorrow. The event is being organized by the Department of Empowerment of Persons with Disabilities, Divyangjan, under the Ministry of Social Justice and Empowerment. Social Justice and Empowerment Minister Dr. Virendra Kumar will preside over the function. Ministers of State for Social Justice and Empowerment Ram Das Athavale, A. Narayan Swamy and Pratima Bhaumik will be present on the occasion.
Raksha Mantri Rajnath Singh felicitated the prominent contributors to the Armed Forces Flag Day Fund AFFDF for financial year 2020-21 during the third edition of the Armed Forces Flag Day in New Delhi today. He said Indian Armed Forces have always defended India's integrity and sovereignty during wars and by countering cross-border terror activities. He said it is a moral obligation to support the veterans, Veer Naris and their families. In the FIH Odisha Hockey Men's Junior World Cup being played in Odisha capital Bhubaneswar, India, Germany, Argentina and France have qualified for the semi-finals to be played tomorrow. Defending champion India will take on Germany in one of the semi-finals in the iconic Kalinga Stadium in Bhubaneswar. The other semi-final will be played between Argentina and France. The second and final test match between India and New Zealand will be played at the Wankhede Stadium in Mumbai beginning tomorrow. After a pulsating draw in Kanpur, both sides would look to win this match to claim the series. However, that will be subject to the Mumbai weather conditions.
Do you want to fly high, to reach out to the skies? Do you feel proud to wear the uniform? Then join the Indian Air Force.
Applications open from 1st December 2021. To apply, online login to careerindianairforce.cdac.in.
Here is a review of proceedings in Parliament today. First from the Rajya Sabha. The writer is Rajesh Ahuja, UNI. The passing of the Dam Safety Bill 2019 is the highlight of today's proceedings in the House of the Elders. The issue of the suspension of 12 opposition MPs also continued to raise a storm in the House for the fourth day today. Soon after laying of papers in the House, Chairman M. Venkaiah Naidu read out a letter from former Prime Minister Manmohan Singh in which he had said that he is not able to attend the current session due to illness and sought a leave of absence from the sittings. He was granted leave of absence from the House during the current session. Referring to events during the past 3 days, the chairman lamented that nothing productive happened in the House due to the protests by the members, which he termed as undemocratic. The chairman said that since he could not express his anguish in the public, the only way for him to express his thoughts was speaking in the House. Referring to the remarks by the opposition members describing the suspension of 12 MPs as undemocratic, the chairman said that the conduct of the members during the previous session was regrettable and an act of sacrilege. Meanwhile, the opposition members entered the well of the House to protest the suspension of the opposition MPs on the opposition contention that the chair had not allowed the leader of the opposition in the Rajya Sabha to speak on the matter. The chairman said he had heard him yesterday. With the opposition continuing with the uproar, the chairman adjourned the House till 1200 hours. When the House reassembled at 1200 hours, the opposition members continued with their protests. Amid the noisy scenes, Deputy Chairman Harivansh called for beginning proceedings of question hour. Responding to a question, Environment Minister Bhupender Yadav said monitoring of air pollution is being done in various cities, determining air pollution index. Leader of the opposition in the Rajya Sabha, Mallikarjun Kharge, sought to raise a point of order. Mr. Mallikarjun Kharge said the House should discuss inflation. Inflation is an issue concerning one and all. The government should give permission to hold a debate on this, he said. However, Deputy Chairman Harivansh saying that this is question hour and no other matter could be raised. Following this, the Congress members walked out of the House in protest. In reply to a question in the House, Minister of State in the Prime Minister's office, Dr. Jitendra Singh said the government plans to start a nuclear plant in Gorakhpur soon. He said that nuclear energy will be one of the major sources of alternative energy in the future. He said the government plans to increase allocation in the budget in this regard. Responding to questions on steps taken by the government to alleviate the condition of artists affected due to COVID pandemic, Labour and Employment Minister Bhupender Yadav said that several schemes for the artists have been started by the government. In reply to a question, Tourism Minister Shripad Yesso Naik said the government has a lot of plans to revive this sector to bring it back to pre-COVID times. When the House reassembled post-lunch, Deputy Chairman Harivansh called for continuing with the discussion on the Dam Safety Bill 2019. As the Jal Shakti Minister Gajendra Singh Shekhawat stood up to resume his speech on the bill, members of the opposition sought to raise a point of order regarding suspension of 12 MPs, which was disallowed by the chair. Speaking on the bill, Jal Shakti Minister Gajendra Singh Shekhawat said the bill is aimed at bringing a policy on safety of dams. The country did not have a policy on safety of dams for 40 years, he said. DMK member Tiruchi Shiva said the bill transgressed on rights of the states. He moved an amendment to send the bill to a select committee of the Rajya Sabha. He said most of the bills brought by the current government are transgressing into the rights of the states. This bill too takes away the rights of the states. The states' powers cannot be encroached upon, and moved the amendment to send the bill to a select committee. Initiating a discussion on the bill, Shakti Sen Gohil said the Dam Safety Bill 2019 is against the Constitution of India. It transgresses on rights of the states. He said he supported the demand of Mr. Tiruchi Shiva that the bill be referred to a select committee of the Rajya Sabha. Muhammad Nadimul Haq of the All India Trinamool Congress said the bill tramples on rights of the states. He said the union government has been legislating on subjects outside its jurisdiction. This was seen in the recently repealed farm laws. He said the way the Dam Safety Bill 2019 has been framed needs scrutiny. He said that there are 5,334 large dams in the country and 293 dams are more than 100 years old. TKS Elangovan of the DMK said the Dam Safety Bill 2019 is a violation of the Constitution. The central government has not taken the consent of the states, he said. V. Vijay Sai Reddy of YSR Congress said there is an urgency for the Dam Safety Bill. He said there should be a dam safety unit for each dam, he said. V. Shivadasan of CPIM in his maiden speech termed the Dam Safety Bill 2019 as against democracy. He said the bill tramples on rights of the states. It will take away the powers of the states. A. Navneet Krishnan of the AIADMK opposing the bill said it should be referred to the Select Committee of the Rajya Sabha. Ramnath Thakur of JDU called for construction of a dam in Bihar. Manoj Kumar Jha of the RJD said the bill transgresses power of the state governments. Vaiko of the MDMK said the Dam Safety Bill 2019 will be disastrous for Tamil Nadu. Sanjay Singh of Aam Aadmi Party said that the bill is against the Constitution. Fawzia Khan of the NCP said the bill encroached on the federal structure of the Constitution. She said the bill be referred to a select committee of the Rajya Sabha. Virendra Prasad Desha of the AGP said the bill is the need of the hour as India has witnessed many disasters on dams and more than 6,000 people have lost their lives. Harsh Archana Singh Dungarpur of the BJP said the bill is more important today due to risk posed to dam safety by climate change. He said the bill has a provision to ensure continuous safety of dams. Abdul Wahab of IUML said the bill is against the provisions of the Constitution. Responding to the discussion on the bill, Jal Shakti Minister Gajendra Singh Shekhawat said the bill was the need of the hour. He said that over the last 7 years, the Narendra Modi government has been working to bolster security of the country. He pointed out that the bill was passed unanimously in the Lok Sabha 2 years ago. He said the bill aims to provide robust legal and institutional framework under the central and state governments for safety of dams. Referring to several accidents involving dams that led to loss of several lives, he said there was a need to develop a system to fix accountability for safety of dams. On allegations that the bill was infringing on the powers of states, he said the draft of the bill was circulated to several states, but it was only the Bihar government that adopted it. Before bringing the bill, the government sought the opinion of the Solicitor General of India, who opined that the union government has the power to legislate on the subject, he said. Calling on the members to pass the bill to ensure safety of dams across the country, the minister said the bill should be soon passed and brought to use. The Mullaperiyar Dam issue was discussed in the House, but India has 14 such structures where the safety of the dams is the responsibility of all of us. We will not let go of our responsibility. This bill will provide necessary provisions for the Central Committee to do the inspections. Later, the minister moved the bill for passage of the House, which was passed by voice vote after rejection of the opposition amendment to refer it to a select committee. The opposition motion was rejected in a division with 26 members voting in favour and 80 members voting against sending it to a select committee. With the Lok Sabha having already passed the bill, the legislation has now received the assent of Parliament. The bill aims to provide robust legal and institutional framework under central and state governments for safety of dams. It envisages prevention and mitigation of dam failure-related disasters through proper surveillance, inspection, operation and maintenance of all dams in the country. The bill provides for constitution of a National Committee on Dam Safety, NCDS, to evolve dam safety policies and recommend necessary regulations. NCDS is proposed to be chaired by the chairman, CWC. It provides for establishment of National Dam Safety Authority, NDSA, as a regulatory body to implement the policy guidelines and standards for dam safety in the country. The bill also provides for constitution of state committees on dam safety by the state governments to ensure proper surveillance, inspection, operation and maintenance of all specified dams in the state and to ensure their safe functioning. After passage of the bill, the chair called for special mentions.
And now review of the proceedings in the Lok Sabha. Writer is Kumar Rakesh, PTI. Lok Sabha today took up a debate on the COVID-19 pandemic as the House proceedings ran smoothly except for protests by TRS members for a brief while who later staged a walkout. It was the first time since Parliament's winter session began that the question hour was completed. During the debate on the pandemic, the opposition hit out at the union government over the COVID-19 management, charging it of favouring the BJP-ruled states in allocation of vaccines and dubbed the celebrations over the 100 crore vaccination mark as premature. Initiating the debate in the lower house on COVID-19, Shiv Sena leader Vinayak Raut lamented the Parliament was discussing the issue 21 months after the outbreak of the disease and at a time when cases were on the decline. Referring to the Omicron variant of the virus, Mr. Rao demanded close coordination among state governments and the centre. There should be clarity in the centre's directives on Omicron, the member from the Ratnagiri Sindhudurg seat in Maharashtra said. On vaccination, he accused the centre of allocating more vaccines to BJP-ruled states at the cost of the non-BJP-ruled states. He also described as premature the celebrations in India over crossing the 100 crore milestone in COVID-19 vaccinations, saying only 38% of the population has received both the doses of vaccine. On utilization of the PM CARES Fund, Mr. Rao refrained from making a direct attack on the centre and instead targeted contractors tasked with supplying ventilators and establishing PSA oxygen plants. It is the suppliers who provided substandard ventilators which could not be used for the treatment of the people, Mr. Raut said. He said the Prime Minister had made an announcement of setting up more than 1,500 PSA oxygen plants at hospitals across the country. But in reality, only 316 plants were functional. The Sena leader also raised the issue of private hospitals overcharging COVID-19 patients, particularly during the second wave of the pandemic. Participating in the debate, BJP's Ratan Lal Kataria said that as a new variant of the coronavirus has emerged, there is a need to be more cautious and follow all the protocols properly. It is not the time to sit comfortably and people have to be vigilant, he said. He said opposition has a role in democracy, adding they should not politicize it. In listing various relief activities undertaken by the BJP during the pandemic, Mr. Kataria said it has become a habit of some political leaders to blindly criticize Prime Minister Narendra Modi. However, the more they criticize, the stronger Prime Minister Modi's resolve to work for the country, he added. On the charge that the centre was only favouring BJP-ruled states in supply of vaccines and ignoring those ruled by the opposition, he said several opposition-ruled state governments approached other nations for vaccines, but in vain. And that's all in Parliament Review.
And now before we end the bulletin, the headlines once again. Prime Minister Narendra Modi reviews preparedness of states and concerned agencies to effectively deal with situation arising out of likely formation of Cyclone Jawad. Prime Minister Narendra Modi to inaugurate Infinity Forum on FinTech tomorrow. Lok Sabha takes up discussion on COVID-19 pandemic. Parliament passes Dam Safety Bill 2019. Hajj Committee of India issues guidelines for Hajj 2022. National COVID-19 vaccination coverage crosses 125 crore doses mark. Recovery rate at 98.35%. 2 cases of Omicron variant of COVID reported in Karnataka. Primary and secondary contacts being traced to check the spread. Russian President Vladimir Putin to visit Delhi on 6th December to attend the 21st India-Russia Annual Summit. In hockey, India to face Germany. and Argentina to play France in semi-finals tomorrow in Bhubaneswar. And in cricket, second and final test match between India and New Zealand to begin tomorrow at the Wankhede Stadium in Mumbai. And with that, we end the evening news. Good night.